step-by-step procedure on how to change the engine oil of your KTM 390 using the best quality Johnson's baby oil. Now, of course, we'll only be using recommended oil by KTM, motorex 15W50, and original KTM oil filter and O-rings. First, we have to remove the plastic front spoiler, this one, because it's covering one of the oil drains here. These are 4 screws, 2 here and 1 here and 1 on the other side. You need a size 10 wrench to remove it. I'll be using size 10 socket wrench instead. It's a good idea to have a plastic container ready so you don't lose the screws or everything that you have to remove. These are the 2 screws in the front plastic spoiler that you have to remove. This one and this one. Now to remove the screws on the right side. After you have removed the front spoiler here, you now have easy access to the main drain hole, this one. It's a good idea to clean the area around it because there's some grease from the last oil change and also from the chain. We're going to open this one, the main drain hole. You need the size 18 socket wrench on this one. If you have a torque wrench, much better because you have to tighten this at around 12 to 15 Newton meters from the manual. I don't think that was 15 Newton meters when they tightened this. It's easy to remember the position of this first drain hole. It's the biggest one. It's size, I use size 18 socket wrench here. Easy to remember the position. It's right beside the side stand. This main drain plug here, you can find it on page 202 of your service manual. That's it right there. Look at it, it's the same. And there's a smaller drain plug here. You see this number 3. Once the dripping oil has come to a slow, you can pull out this oil screen here. If you have a new oil screen, much better, but you can reuse this. You can just clean it and put it back in. So you can see, this is the oil screen. Use a pair of pliers so you don't get your hands dirty. I'm now going to wash this. Take a piece of cloth and clean off the remaining dirty oil here. And for the oil screen, I just washed this one with soap and water. Now I'm gonna let it dry so I can put it back later. And if you want, there is a second drain here. You can see it right here. There's also another oil screen there. When I was at the dealer, I noticed that they did not open this one. But in the manual, there's an instruction on how to open that. You just need a size 13 socket to open this one. You can see 13 fits. I tried opening it, but the torque on this is tightened too much. I don't think they tightened this at 12 Newton meters. You can see here on the manual, it has to be tightened. The first one is 15 Newton meters and that one 12 Newton meters. But there's no way that's 12. I almost pushed the bike over trying to open it. So we're gonna skip that and move ahead with removing the oil filter on the right side of the bike over here. I'm now here on the right side of the bike. I have a pair of pliers ready to pull out the oil filter. The size of the socket for the screws here, you have two screws. It's size 8. Size 8 socket. Oh, it's not actually not that tight. I think they tightened this maybe, let me check. Feels like around 10 Newton meters only. So for the, yeah, I'm correct. It's 10 Newton meters for the screw. There's gonna be some oil drip also here, so prepare. Put a piece of container below. I don't think they needed to tighten this too much because there should be an O-ring right underneath this cover that will prevent leaks. The oil filter that I bought came with a spare O-ring to replace that. There's still some oil dripping. I'm gonna let it drip for a while before I pull this out. Also, I'm gonna wash this oil cap. The damn oil filter is annoyingly hard to pull out. I tried the small flat screw. In the end, I did it with a piece of paper clip right there. You see, I hooked it inside with a piece of paper clip. That's a life hack. It's up to you how you want to remove it. This is the way that I removed it. Remember, when you pull it out, the metal side of the oil filter should be facing you. So when you put the new one back in, it should be this way, and the rubber side should be inside. I'm now gonna put the new oil filter in. Shiny and new. Remember, I said before, this metal side should be facing you and the rubber part should be inside. Some people like to prime the oil filter. It's also mentioned in the manual that it's a good idea to put some oil on this side. You need to prime it. But I don't want to spill anything here, so I'm just gonna put it in. If you wait after putting your new oil, wait a few hours, it's gonna get primed anyway. Now I'm gonna remove the old O-ring from the cap and replace it with a new one. The new one looks a bit small. I'm not gonna use it. I don't trust it. The looks of it, it's too small. I'm just gonna go and reuse the old O-ring after cleaning it. I mean, look at the size difference. Look at the size difference of the new O-ring and the old one. I'm gonna reuse the old one just to be sure. Time to put it back. Cover the oil cap again. Remember, do not over tighten these two screws here. You might break them. It's only required to tighten them up to 10 Newton meters. I think much better if I use a smaller wrench than this one, so I don't over tighten it. Now let's go back to the other side of the bike, so we can also put back the oil drain plug. This new oil drain screw actually looks much better than the stock one. I'm gonna put this back inside. Turn it a few turns to make it snug. Now I took the old O-ring, so I can put it here on the new one. I hand tighten as much as I can, then only half a turn here on the wrench. That's it. Now that we're done putting it back together, it's time to add our new oil. Here on the right side of the bike, you will see this thing that looks like an oil dipstick. This is where you add the oil. Just turn it counterclockwise by hand to remove it. You have to add 1.7 liters. So this one is exactly 1 liter. You see that 9 deciliters and 10, it's exactly 1 liter. It's gonna be very hard to pour this oil in that, so you better get yourself a funnel like this one, a small one, so you can easily pour the oil in. I put the bike now on the side stand, so I have a better angle for the funnel when pouring this new oil. The second bottle, you need 700 ml, so you have to empty this 1 liter up to the 300 ml marker right there. This is where you're gonna stop. Let me check if that's now 300 ml left. Okay, the oil level now, when I check it, it's almost only 300 ml. Just a few drops more. That's it, 1.7 liters. You can check on the second bottle the level. The remaining level is 300 ml. You can check the oil level here on the same side. There is a glass window. On the bottom, you can see the glass window. The level should be between these two pins right here. That's the optimal level. You can see the oil right there now. It's right in between. So that's good. I can now cover the oil cap. This one, the oil cap here, you just have to hand tighten it. Alright, the next step now is to do the service reset. Turn on your key and go to your menu, Preferences, scroll down to Service. Here you can see I was really supposed to change the oil because it only has around 191 kilometers left for the next service change oil. So now we're gonna reset that. Let's go back to Preferences. So you just have to open your menu, press the set button, scroll to Preferences, and once you're there, you need to press both up and down buttons at the same time. There. Then the service reset comes up. You can change this for the next service schedule. So press the set button to move up. I like to change the oil every 5,000 kilometers. It's also what the KTM dealer here in Philippines recommend. Of course, in the manual, it says you should change oil every 7,500, but if you want to take care of your Duke 390, RC 390, much better to change the oil a bit earlier. So now we have it at 5,000 km for the next service reminder. To save it, it's also the set button, you have to hold it down. And there you go. So I'm gonna turn this off. And then when I open it up again, you can check that it has been reset. Okay, go to the menu again. Preferences, scroll to service. Next service, it's now set there, 5,000 kilometers. One last thing, before you use the motorcycle and before you put this plastic front spoiler back at the bottom, it's a good idea to start the bike, let it warm up, and then move around the bike, check if there are any oil leaks that need to be addressed, just to be sure before you go riding.